Okay, today's session, snake creeps down. Before we get started on that, we're gonna do some warm-ups. We're gonna include some things for our hips today to help with that movement specifically. And we're gonna practice all of section 3 that we've learned so far. So from cross hands all the way through wave hands like clouds. Feet shoulders width apart. Let's start with that gentle swinging and just turn from the middle body. Remember, this is your kind of wake up for your spine, and we're learning how to use that to control the arms. In the most basic way, if you speed up or you slow down, you feel the arms are affected by that movement. Couple more rounds. And then ease off, slowing down until we come back to center. Okay, shoulders are next. So draw up and squeeze back and down and around. So you can do this alternating. You could do it together, big arms. Choose that variation that works best. Remember, we're just trying to wake up the joints. So if we're doing small circles, you can include those elbows as well. Nice deep breaths to bring through the practice. And then other directions. So we go up and then pull them apart. So think about pulling your shoulder blades apart, opening up through the back. This is a little bit more of an open variation than our upper body shape or that hugging position that we include in standing or still practice. But it's a great way to get the joints open. All right, one more, going back a couple of times. And then we shake them out, let them find neutral. And now hips. So nice circle. Push out and around. And then we'll go the other direction. All right, one more, all the way. Level out back to center, knees and ankles together. Small warm up here before we get into the hips a little bit more. Other direction. And release. Coming up, if you want, grab onto a chair. We want to think about lift and open. The higher you lift, the more you'll get out of it. You could always hold and pull up. This is a great option to really get a stretch through the hip area, or just focus on lift and open and then tap on the way down. Both great options, but just giving us that openness through our hips for our movement today. One more. Release. Other side. Okay, so again, lift, open, and then maybe tap. Or lift, open, and then hold. Pull up. See if you can open to the side. And then again, you can stay there or you can keep going. Just giving you a couple of options. Choose what feels best. And release. One more. Let go. Okay. Now, one other thing that we can do to open up through the hips is if we take a little bit of a wider stance and we turn our feet out to the corners. This is going to feel similar to our snake creeps down position. When we're here, I want you to just move back and forth. So come over to one side, try to move level across and see how this feels. This is actually going to feel similar to the final position of snake creeps down. Now eventually you can go lower and lower, but the goal is to keep the knees in line. So as we shift across, we keep the knees open. So this requires a lot of inner thigh strength and stretching to help open through this area. So again, you can take it wider and you can go lower, but make sure you're sitting up nice and tall here, that tailbone's tucked down, and we're just finding that movement. Other things we can do, sitting on a chair is a great option to eventually go down further, okay? So giving yourself that opportunity to open up through this area before we get started. Okay, ready to practice? Let's do it. So cross hands all the way through. Remember to adjust for your space. I'll turn so we all move the same direction. Let's get started. Shoulders width apart. Right arm on the outside. Deep breath. Relax the shoulders. Take this moment. Feel the weight in your foot. Where is it? Nice and centered. Okay, shift to the right. Turn on your left heel. Separate the arms for embrace tiger. Return to the mountain. Looks like brush knee and push. Roll back. Bicycle that right arm up and out. And turn. Press. Touching the forearm, expanding out. Flattening the arms, squaring up for push. Sit up the palms at chest level, then going to shoulder height. Diagonal, single whip. Turn. Press down. Hook goes to 3 o'clock. Standing ward off and push. Okay, shift and turn, parting the wild horse's mane. Dropping the hook hand, let it open. Stepping less than corner, big arm movements, turning from your waist. Shift and turn, close. Look over the right shoulder and then towards the left palm. Rotate the arms as you turn the foot. Close and step. Big arm movements, left hand in front of the hip. Grasping the bird's tail, ward off left, shift and turn. Rotate. Step. Up and down, torso's vertical. Shift and turn, ward off right. Rotate. Step. And hinge up. Keep that space between the arms as you rotate for roll back. Press. And push. Single whip. Make sure to step wide enough and push. Fair Lady Work Shuttles, number 1, shift and turn everything to the corner. Relax the hook, step, left arm underneath, left arm and leg out together, and then palm push. Press down as you shift back for number 2. Turn on your left heel, big arms turning away. Both palms to the sky as you relax that right foot. Pick up, right arm underneath, wards off up, and then push. Press down, shifting back, number 3. Step to straight, both palms to the sky, left arm and leg go out together, and then push. Last one, pressing down as you shift back. Right arm, big turn. Both palms to the sky. Right arm underneath. Step, ward off, and push. Okay, pressing down. This time looks more like roll back with the left palm to the sky. Turn on your right heel. Close the arms. Step, ward off left. Grasping the bird's tail, ward off right. Shift and turn. Rotate. Step, up and down. roll back, turn, press, and push. Single whip. Pressing down, the fingers point together, and then left fingers to right forearm, making that hook. And push. Wave hands like clouds, shift and turn. Everything to the right side. Let that hook open as you turn to the left and step in. Turning from your waist brings the arms to the side, stepping double wide, and then shoulder width. One more, double wide, and then shoulder width to the corner direction. Making a hook, stepping, and push. Okay, drop the arms, but don't change the legs. How did you do? This is important because this is going to be your setup for snake creeps down. So we want to make sure we have that great shoulders width apart and that awesome alignment in our footwork. Did good, right? That's a much easier transition than coming from push. So that's the good thing, right? We get that kind of easier setup. All right, are you ready? Let's do it. So snake creeps down. Just watch one time. I'm going to show you from two directions, facing the normal direction and then facing towards you. Then we're going to talk about just footwork and arms and break it down into two modifications. So remember, nice position to start. We start in single whip. We're going to open up our rear foot and we're going to shift back and we're going to sink down. And then we're going to come up. Okay? The technical ending of snake creeps down is in the bottom position. Okay? This is where it's supposed to stop. But that's kind of hard on the body, so we'll continue up. Okay? So just watch and we're going to break it down. We have snake creeps down. So again, the first thing we do is we open. Everything's to that rear corner. Sit back. Sink down. Okay? Come up. All right. Now you've already seen two different variations, right? So let's talk footwork first. Okay? The footwork plays a big part in this movement. So we start in our normal bow stance. Don't say, I'm getting to single whip. I gotta make it longer so I can sink down, right? That's not what we want to do, but it naturally kind of happens for everyone. So nice bow stance. Now, I want you to check. We're going to pause, but what you're going to do is you're going to open where? The foot's opening, but what's causing that rotation? The hip and the whole leg is actually opening to that rear corner. Now take a look. How'd you do? Okay, it should be going back here. All the weight is still going to be in your front leg, and then we're going to shift it back. Okay, so this is that movement we did in the beginning. Then you're going to sink down just a little bit. Okay, come back. So I want to show you something. I'm going to go off angle. Okay, so just watch right now. If I do single whip to the straight direction, okay, when I open this foot, look at the knee. Okay, this is why I wore these pants. When we do this, I don't want you to do this. Okay, this is going to hurt the knees. We need to be very aware of this position, of feeling the weight centered in the whole foot. Okay, so we start in the front, right? We have single whip, and then where do we rotate from? Whole leg. Watch. Whole leg. Do you see it? It's not just the foot. Like, you don't just want to turn the foot and keep that knee hanging in. You want to think, how can I rotate everything so it opens? And then keep it open. So when you shift back, knee stays in line, okay? This is priority number one. Then we sink down just a little bit. You do not have to go all the way down, okay? But keep your knee in line. This is the priority. This is the hardest part about snake creeps down, okay? But I am here to guide you to heal your joints. That's why we do Tai Chi, okay? So I want you to be really aware in this movement. All right, normal direction, single whip footwork. Remember, torso's vertical and single whip, okay? Rotate and open. Look, how'd you do? Weight still in the front, everything, leg, knee, foot. Okay, shift your weight back. Now, just sink a little bit. The difference of being here versus here. Feeling good? Yes. Okay, so that is snake creeps down. Now, eventually, you can sink lower. But the things to note, if you start sinking lower and you're doing this, no good, okay? We don't want our head going towards the floor. We want to stay upright, okay? So it's going to depend on the day. It's going to depend on the variation, okay? First variation is just going from opening, moving back, and just sink, sink. Do you see what happens? Where does the sink come from? Absorbing in that front leg, sink, sink, okay? That's more than enough. You're gonna see some people, including me, on a good day. Today's not the best day. I did a little bit too much activity yesterday, okay? Shift back, sink, okay? Absolutely not necessary, okay? That's when it looks really fancy. The meaning is simply absorbing down, okay? So it's with the arms. So if we talk about the arms to help understand the legs, we start with our palm out in front. As we shift our weight back, the palm's gonna come back. So we're gonna come back. Then as we sink, we're gonna push down. So do you see what happens? It's a circle, okay? So the whole movement is gonna be back, down, and then eventually we come up, back to where we started, okay? The meaning is if somebody grabbed you, somebody grabs, you're pulling back and you sink down and you re-grab and they go down, okay? You don't have to sink very far to get the meaning, okay? That's what I want you to be really aware of. Even though we can, or we want to, I should say, we don't have to. The meaning is just about, once you're here, can you just sink together, okay? Let's try. Now, things to be very aware of. One of the biggest things is the knee, right? That knee direction. A lot of times when people practice snake creeps down, we open. Now, what do you notice? The back leg is to the corner, as is the hook. What I'll see a lot of the times is we'll come back and then this happens. What went wrong? That hook hand came in. Or sometimes it'll be this, okay? So it's one of the things to consider as you practice this movement. Your hook hand is still going to remain to that corner direction. Now it's not going to stay in three-dimensional space where it was. It's going to come down a little bit, okay? Everything's going to go down a little bit, but don't let it swing, all right? So we're going to practice a few times. I want you to keep in mind, One of the hardest movements we have besides the swing kick at the very, very end of the form, okay? So if at any point it's a lot on the legs or the hips, take a break, just do the arms, and then step back in, all right? So single whip, great starting position, right? Step naturally, okay? Open up, nice and vertical. Hook hands where? Corner direction. Left palm is pushing out. Find your stability first, side to side. Okay, first thing, leg and foot opens. Nothing's changed on the top. Shift back, hand comes towards the shoulder. Check, armpit open. Okay, now sink down. So a little lean towards that front leg. How'd you do? I bet it's looking pretty good. Yeah. This is a lot of fun, okay? So when we're doing the hand shape, make sure that we come back and that palm is still gonna face out the entire time, okay? So it's gonna come into the shoulder and then it's gonna come down and around. And then it's just gonna continue back up, okay? So I'm gonna show you where it stops, technically, okay? So we don't wanna just flow right through it. We wanna do a little bit, and then we come back up, okay? So snake creeps down. We start at single whip. The movement itself is open. Shift back, sink. This is technically the end. What do we do next? We come up and move our weight forward. Then we actually turn everything. So this is where it's a hard thing to pinpoint the stop, okay? Because stopping in the low position is hard on our bodies, okay? So if you want to move up right away, I want you to be aware that we're not going to come right back into single whip like exactly the same. It's going to look a little bit different because the hook hand is going to be lower. Okay? So the next movement is called Golden Rooster on one leg. This is where it's going to be interesting because we have to make sure that we really have a great stance or natural stance in single whip so that the next movement, after we do snake creeps down, that we can come up, turn, and then we can turn and then stand up. So what happens here? Everyone wants to have a huge stance for snake creeps down so that we can sink as low as possible. The longer your stance, the wider your stance, the more space you have to sink down, right? So it feels great, but then what happens is we try to go into the next movement and we can't move forward. So this is why I want you to get really comfortable with a natural single whip step right now, okay? Let's do it again. Stepping out, vertical. Before we get started, check. And then step back out. Okay. So actual snake creeps down. Open, weights in the left leg. Shift back, hand to the shoulder. Hook still to the corner. How's your knee? Did it turn in or is it open and you're pushing your limits a little? Now, sink. Then move forward and turn your right foot back. Good. Let's do it again, okay? So remember, guilty, which is why I can tell you about it. One of the corrections I've received from my teachers is opening, coming back. Oh, it feels so good. I'm just going to continue on, okay? Remember, the actual end of snake creeps down is in this position. This is the ending of this movement. The transition to the next movement is from here, up and turn, okay? So that is not actually part of snake creeps down. So keep that in mind. We never stop, right? Energy always flows, but we do have a definitive point, an end point of each movement, okay? Let's do it again. Snake creeps down from single whip, open, find center. Now we're looking over that left palm. We're gonna stay looking ahead. Open the back foot, shift, hand towards the shoulder, sink and circle down. Move forward and close the foot back. Now check. Here we are leaning a little bit, so it's not like single whip. Leaning just a little because we were moving forward. How's your hook hand? A little bit more relaxed. Nice job. Okay. Now, giving ourselves a break. Single whip, wave hands like clouds, single whip, snake creeps down. Sometimes going back will trip us up a little bit, so let's enjoy the flow for a moment. Starting, single whip. Take this time. Enjoy that silk reeling energy from wave hands like clouds. Shift and turn. Drop that hook. Step in. And then keep turning as you gently shift. Step. Center. Left side. Step. Step. Last one. Give yourself that beautiful starting position, corner direction. Make your hook. Step. And push. Open up the right foot and leg. Shift back, hand to the shoulder. Sink. Come up and then turn back. Okay. Ready? One more time, same thing. Single whip, wave hands like clouds, single whip. Okay, shift and turn for wave hands like clouds. I want you to really be aware of that weight shifting now. So coming to the left, step in. Feel it move across. Centered in both feet, even as you step. Knees in line. Last one, normal double wide. And then it's shoulder width, but to the corner direction for single whip. Okay, open up the foot, pull back, sink down, move forward, and turn back. Keeping in mind, what's the end position of the actual movement? Sinking down. Okay, take a breather for a second. We're going to include one big practice, okay? Today's session is probably one of the hardest ones on your body besides what? Fair Lady Work Shuttles number 2 and 4, okay? That has that same type of opening in our hips. So what we're going to do, keeping ourselves a little bit not exhausted, I should say, okay? Let's practice everything again. Let's do the whole flow from cross hands all the way through to snake creeps down, okay? I want you to be aware of one thing throughout this. One principle of practice for yourself, okay? So separating empty and full is what we were just working on. Keeping that weight centered in both feet, making it clear when the weight's in the back or the weight's in the front, okay? You could choose that. You could choose head lifting up. Shoulders down is one more. Fourth option, ready? Relax the waist, okay? So as you practice now, you know this section very, very well, okay? Pick a principle to stick with. for the entire section. This is how we take our practice to the next level, okay? Eventually, I would love to say that you will incorporate all 10 principles of practice all the time. I'm 20 years in. It doesn't happen all the time. My goodness, it's going to take a lifetime, okay? So just pick one and see if you can focus on that to help improve your form throughout this entire practice. So from cross hands, shoulders width apart, sink down, take this second, create that intention. What are you going to focus on? Okay, now choosing that. Embrace tiger, return to the mountain. Looks again like brush knee. And step and push. Are you including that principle as you connect out for roll back and turn? Press and push. Diagonal single whip. Keeping that intention, head lifting up or shoulders down, waist relaxed, or separate, empty, and full as you push. Parting the wild horse's mane, number 1. Turning. Shift. Looking over that left shoulder and big arm movements. Number 2. Step and turn. Last one. Close and step and turn. Okay, grasping the bird's tail. Ward off left. Ward off right. Is that focus still there? Keeping that intention throughout your entire practice. Roll back. Maybe you try to flow continuously without interruption. Press. And push. Single whip. Making a hook and step. Fair lady work shuttles. Number 1, turn. Open the hook, relax. Turn the palm and step. Left arm underneath, stepping, and then push. Press down and shift back. What principle are you working on as you turn? Palms to the sky, step, and push. Press down. Number 3, step, both palms to the sky, arm and leg together, and push. Press down. Turn. Relax. Pick up. Step. Ward off. And turn the foot and push. Okay, pressing down as you roll back. Turn. Ward off. Left for grasping the bird's tail. Almost there. Shift and turn. Ward off right. Use grasping the bird's tail right now. Roll back to focus on that principle that you chose for your practice. Press and push. Single whip. Making your hook and step. Wave hands like clouds, shift and turn. Nice flowing arms. Turning, step in. What's your principle included as you circle? From side to side, stepping in. And then last one, we step to the corner direction. Snake or single whip, and then snake creeps down. Okay, open up the foot and the leg. Shift back, hand to the shoulder. Sink down. Then we can move forward and close that foot back. All right. Great session. That is not easy, okay? Keep that in mind as you practice. Give yourself grace throughout this week and try to include some of those hip openers to help as we move forward. All right, thank you so much for joining me.